Hey, sorry about
Hey,
that.
what's going on,
Hey,
Ben? How are you?
all good, dude. Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
our podcast is about how your journey in the music industry, really how you, started music and how you formed Neck Deep and how you guys got to where you are now.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's do it.
so I read you're born in the UK. Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I was I'm from a small town in North Wales, right on the border of Wales and England, called Wrexham.
Mm-hmm.
Tiny town, tiny, very working class, mining market town. Not much comes in, not much goes out. We're actually fairly well known for our beer. It used to be a big brewery and our football team, and that's about it.
Really?
Yeah, that's right. We were the first exported lager to Australia.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're in San Diego, which is like craft beer.
Oh yeah. I
stuff.
feel you. Yeah. Oh man, I'm all up on it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, the craft beer hype fully hit the UK a couple of years ago. So
did it? Okay.
I was happy about it. I went to America and was trying all these amazing beers, and then they all managed to make their way over here. So I'm stoked.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. But yeah, I grew up in a small town. Just like typical upbringing. Just got into music when I was super young. I got into music and skateboarding probably at the same time when I was about 8-9 years old. Passed down from my oldest brother, to me and my other brother. I'm the youngest, so two of us are a similar age, and then we have like an older brother. But he passed on like music and skateboarding to us, and then from there, me and my brother were just in it for life.
That's
like that was
cool.
it. That was all we cared about.
What skateboarding were you like into the videos and stuff? Like,
I wasn't super onto the videos at that time, just because it would have been around the time of like Globe. There was maybe a Globe video I remember floating around my house for a while. My brother was super into like Globe skaters. He was a huge like Rodney Mullen fan, and there was a couple of like UK skaters who were on Globe and stuff. My brother worked at a skate park, our local skate park, and but a lot of it was through just Tony Hawk's, man. Like I was so young, just playing video games, and I have a lot to offer owe to Tony Hawk's probably as well in that respect. Yeah, for sure.
He had a great soundtrack for that game, didn't he?
yeah. I think the soundtrack is almost as well known as the game at this point.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely played a part, man. Like, although they're not bands that I like grew into loving all of them, like I'll know those soundtrack songs off, like as well as anyone else. And
sure.
I think when me and my brother, the band that my brother showed us that like really sparked something off was Green Day. He passed on Green Day to us. Mm-hmm. And then I think me and my brother then got into bands like Newfound Glory and Blink, and then kind of just went on our own kind of tangent with it. But the roots were strong, man. We were strong roots.
That's so cool. Like it's awesome because that's exactly kind of how I got into music as well, was skateboarding videos. That's how I got introduced to bands like, the Misfits and stuff, just seeing like these videos. And then also Green Day. When I heard Basket Case for the first time, I like blew my mind, and it all went from there.
Yeah. I remember my brother being a bright green hair, like teenager, like, and I was like this little kid, and he was like, listen to this, what do you think of this? And I remember it was like either Basket Case or another song off Dookie. It was Dookie of some kind.
Sure.
And oh god, I just vividly remember that moment for some reason. He was painting our house for like money. Yeah, like my mom would be like, oh, if you paint the fucking house if you want the 20 quid or whatever. And he's like, painting the house with his green hair, like, listen to Green Day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what was the first instrument you learned how to play?
Would have been guitar. Yeah.
Okay.
I picked up a guitar when I was probably like 13 or 14. And really just learned like, I was really into City and Colour and like weird like folky acoustic-y stuff, Iron and Wine and Bon Iver and all that kind of stuff. And I just was really kind of playing that sort of like just folky country-ish kind of stuff. And but never really took it. Like I never played guitar in a band. I never like had anyone to play in a band with. Because like my, you know, the brother situation. So he's a little bit older. I'm the youngest. So the middle brother, he's like 3 or 4 years older than me, and his friends and his people his age tended to be in bands a lot. And I grew up watching my brother in bands and wishing I could be in bands, but no one my age was really into it. And so I was like, so I only ever really picked up an acoustic and did like little gigs around town here and there. Like, yeah, I was never in a band before Neck Deep. It was my first band. I'd been around bands a lot. I'd been around bands a lot. Because my brother was once he had finished, you know, being in bands and stuff, just started recording bands, like local bands, and through that met our guitarist West. I met him through that, and so I was around bands a lot, and I was around recording process, and I was around writing music a lot. My brother writing music in old bands and stuff got me into the thing of like, you know, because I would always be the annoying little brother who was kind of like hanging around, like probably trying to bum a cig off someone and just kind of like, what's going on here? And you know, and then I got to know bands pretty well, and just picked up a lot of stuff, and eventually mustered up the courage and felt the time was right where I was like, I want to start a band. And my brother was all for it and recorded our shit for free, and it's just
so rad.
Yeah, man. Like it was all been, from family really has kind of given it to me, and it's still very much rooted that way too. Like my brother just joined the band again this year.
Yeah, I did read that. I was going to ask you about that.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, we can get into it in a little bit.
Oh, no. Sure.
But yeah, I like how full circle it's all kind of come. Like me and him bopping around in our garage with tennis rackets, like singing to Blink. And like now it's like, you know, I'll actually get to do that for real. I'll get to look over and see my brother playing bass and singing. And
so cool.
Yeah.
Because he recorded the first 2 EPs you guys did, right? Or he's been around since day one, but that's kind of what kind of started it, right? He kind of recorded you guys.
Yeah. He the band like started in his bedroom pretty much.
Wow.
But like he recorded our first 2 EPs and our first album.
Oh wow.
Yeah. His room was like the hub of it all for so long. And like that's the thing with him being a member now, it doesn't feel like we've got like this new member. It's like, Seb's kind of always been in the band but never played in the band. Like Seb has been involved in pretty much everything except playing the shows and going on tour, really.
Sure, yeah.
We write with him and like, you know, he's done everything from like demoing tracks to like sending out our merch orders for us. Like he's a legend. So he knows the band like inside out better than some members probably. You know? He's been there for so long that it's like he's been in Neck Deep from day one. So
yeah. How did he learn how to record bands? Just being around it? Like how did you guys?
Well, he actually. The first time I remember him recording anything was, I think, when he had gone to college, which is the equivalent of like high school to you guys. So like 16 to 18 is college. It's optional in the UK, but a lot of people do it. But so he went to college and studied music technology. And I remember because of that, he got like a laptop, like a little MacBook and a GarageBand. And he started a little like MySpace, like 2-piece thing with his buddy. And that was the first time I remember him recording anything. I remember like he just started going to college and it was like, and he records bands now. Cool. And it literally just went from there. He just taught himself pretty much the whole time. Started off recording a lot of metal bands, a lot of heavy bands. And yeah, he just totally taught himself. He was like, you know, got through college and he went to uni and did it too. And I think even then, like, he was just like, whatever. I've learned way more just teaching myself and from YouTube than I ever learned in college or whatever. But yeah, and it wasn't even like he needed to join the band. Like, he was doing great. Like, he was super successful being a producer, like making a good living and just like kind of comfortable, you know, had his dogs and his girlfriend and stuff. But I think he just wanted the the rush of being in a band, which I never thought I'd see from him ever again. I thought once he started recording bands that was it. He was done and like he'd never come back to it. But when he was like, no, I want to play bass, I was like, okay, this is a shock to me, but I'll take it. Yeah.
Rad. So the first song you guys, I mean, you put up as Neck Deep was "What Do You Expect?" Was that the first song you ever wrote, or was that just the first song you had the confidence?
That was
to
the
really
first
put
song
out?
that Neck Deep had ever wrote. It wasn't the first song that I personally had ever written. I had I was noodling around on acoustics and you know, writing songs about girls that I'd broken up with or whatever. Just typical 16-year-old,
sure,
just juvenile songwriting. But it was you know, it was all crucial to where I am now. But yeah, What Did You Expect was the first Neck Deep song we ever wrote. And yeah, I don't know how or like what came about it. We recorded the instrumental and it was kind of like, all right, do it. Do the thing you said you were going to do, write the song.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just I don't know why, but even immediately it started kind of just like just doing well. Like just putting it online and posting it in a few groups and kind of just being like, hey, check out my song.
Or just posted it, like, was it on just what, like Hype Machine or something? Or where'd you put it up? Do you remember?
We put it on just Facebook, I think.
Oh, wow.
By Bandcamp Facebook link that was just like, here's the band's page, go and give us a like and listen to our Bandcamp, and just posted it in like a few forums, I think, and a few just like Facebook groups and just friends that we knew and other dudes and other bands, and just just put it out there. And the response we started getting back was like, whoa, it's actually kind of good. And you know, so okay, we'll do another song. And that was Over and Over was the second song we ever wrote, and then that started picking up too. And it went from being this thing where we were like, oh, let's write an EP and play a show. Maybe we'll play a singular show. That'd be cool. To being immediately like, shit, we got to write this EP so that we can maybe get on a tour.
So it just happened that quickly for you guys?
Yeah, well, I think between releasing the first song and going on like playing our first show was about 6 months to a year ish.
Oh, okay.
So it was floating around for a little while, and we had always told ourselves like we're probably not gonna do anything with this. And you know, we had other members who were in other bands and stuff, and it was kind of just like, oh, whatever, like just doing this on the side kind of thing. And we got offered a tour with a band called Me Versus Hero and With the Punches, who are from, I think they're from New York or somewhere, I think near the city, maybe Long Island or something, I think. But and that was our first ever tour, and that was great because like with the Me Versus Hero were like one of the bigger UK pop punk bands at the time, and With the Punches were a band that like we listened to anyway, so we were like,
that's cool. Yeah,
got this. And I think With the Punches asked us to do it. Like they didn't need support, so they would just like come and jump on like four days of the tour.
Wow.
And they ended up being our first ever shows, and it was honestly, yeah, from there it's just never stopped. I think the second ever show we were at, we met our manager, who's still our manager now. He was just at the show and was like, I really like you guys.
Yeah.
We played, it was in London, and we were just on this show. It wasn't even like a super well attended show. There was probably like 30 or 40 people there maybe, but our manager saw something in us, and then from there it kind of just kept going. And then we're like, right, let's make more music. Wrote another EP, you know, that was out for a little while, played a few more shows. Right, let's write a record. And that cycle of tour record has kind of been, you know, unexpectedly. Had I have known that I was going to commit my entire life to this, I would have been like, oh shit, I wouldn't have believed you. But you know, that cycle of record tour has kind of been the last 10 years of my life now. And I'm like, it's like it has become my life. Like, it's crazy.
Sure.
Never thought ever that me writing a song about a girl who cheated on me would ever get me anywhere close to where I am now. So.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, man. I will say that. Jeez. What do you remember? Seeing like what? At what point did you go? You know what? This is it full time. You know, we don't have to worry about working. Like we want to really just do this. We're gonna.
I'm not sure. I know for a while I was on what we call the dole, or like job seekers, which is basically like welfare, which is like you get money for not being in work. I was doing that for like a year.
Yeah, like
basically, yeah. Like I was doing that for about a year or two. And actually, one of the first times I ever got noticed by a fan was a local dude, and it was outside the like welfare center, like the job center. I was like, oh, fuck. It was weird, but yeah, I'd say maybe just before our second record, I think. Like just before we went in to record that, I think we had done a couple US tours. Shows were getting bigger, and just generally the buzz was really there, and we knew we had a great second record in the pocket, and that's when I think we decided, like, yeah, let's do this full time. I think, you know, the rest of the guys quit their jobs, and it was so probably about 2 or 3 years into the process, I think.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
And had you signed to Hopeless at that point, or was that kind of the deciding factor?
No, we had signed to Hopeless. Yeah, we had signed to Hopeless about a year or two before. I think we signed to Hopeless in 2013 or 14, maybe. Not sure. So yeah, that happened along the way. Got a record deal, so that helped massively.
Yeah, I want to hear that story. Did you had 2 EPs out and then you signed to Hopeless, or did you have?
Yeah, well, I think the reason that we signed to Hopeless, and I always put this again, it's like, you know, those key moments. Had I have never written that first song, blah blah blah. There's another one of those moments is, in like 2013, I think, or 2014. We decided we're on a super last minute thing. Oh shit, I know how I survived for a while. I was a student as well, and I was still getting student loan, and now this makes sense too, because I got a call. I got kicked out of uni. Actually, I only was in uni for about 3 or 4 months, and I got kicked out because I was doing stuff with the band too much.
Sure.
But around about the time in that year where I was still getting student loan payments, our guitarist just calls us up randomly one day, all of us, yo, do you want to go to Florida tomorrow? Like, I found flights to Florida for like £200 each, and we can go stay in this place, and we can go around the theme parks, but like, let's also try and play some shows while we're there. And you're like, okay, sure. Next day, flew to Florida, managed to book 2 shows within the space of like a couple of days.
Cool.
And both shows were nuts. Like, the first show we played was like a house show. We got like typical like American, like, yeah, going to a fucking house show. This is fun. We played a house show, and we also played a show in a venue in Tampa called Transitions, which is like right next to the skate park of Tampa, which is like a big
cool.
Well, there was a Tony Hawk level, and obviously, you know, big competition now. Even Tampa Pro is probably one of the bigger competitions of the year. But so it's right next door to there, and we played there, and there was like 200 people maybe. And the footage of those shows, and the kind of buzz off of doing that, I think, is what got us a record deal. I think that's what made people go. You know, I think people just saw that and were like, holy shit, they're not just this scrappy band from the UK that's doing things in the UK. Like, nah, these guys are the
real deal.
Gone to America and out of nowhere have managed to pull this off. So yeah, I think that was a huge thing. And we you know, at the time when we were, you know, thinking, you know, all right, if a label comes knocking, what's our ideal label? And at the time we were definitely Hopeless were like top of that list, and we were like, yeah, because they had they had bands that we loved and had bands that we loved, and they had the Wonder Years, and I was like a huge Wonder Years fan. So you know, I was all about that, and luckily they were one of the labels that was interested, and that we got a good vibe off. Eric Tobin was one of the first guys we ever spoke to. I remember the first call we ever had with him. And I remember the first thing he ever said being some probably horribly awkward joke that he just revels in putting people in that like awkward, uncomfortable, should I laugh, should I not situation. Yeah, he's a great dude. And I like met Tobin and just got really good vibes off him, and over the years of, you know, had a really great time with him. So yeah, big yeah, that was a big step, definitely.
Oh,
signing the record deal was, I remember doing it actually. We were in the backstage of a club called Scala in London, which is a bit of a dive. But they used to do this like rock alternative night that we were playing, and I remember it just being like, you know, I don't know, kind of weird. Like because those shows are weird because you always end up playing at like fucking 1 a.m. when everyone's like super drunk and fucking wasted. It's not like playing a show where it's like your fans are there to see you. It's just like a load of people are just off their heads.
Oh, and they just go there anyway, just for the
they'll go anyway. So it's not like a show, but we were booked to play it, and I remember it was just in the back room, and there was.
So they came out there. The guys from Hopeless. We flew out to the UK to watch you guys?
Just the old printer.
Oh wow! Okay, just send it back to them.
Yeah, we had our manager. We had our manager there and stuff, and I think we may have met with some people from the UK, like branch of the label, maybe earlier in the day or whatever. But now it was just a case of like, you know,
were they like were they the first ones that came to you guys to sign you, or were there other labels?
There was a couple others. I can't exactly remember who. There was a couple, but I think we had our sights so set on Hopeless.
Sure.
It was kind of like when they came knocking, we were like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like they already know what we're doing.
I mean,
that
really label has everybody.
yeah. You know, and we were it was cool because we were like one of the first of like a wave of bands that just like appeared on Hopeless. It was weird. It was like they hadn't signed anyone in so long, then they signed us, and then like Taking Back Sunday and The Used, I think they signed straight after, which I was stoked on because they're two bands that I grew up loving. And then just so many, like just a wave of just these new bands came through. And it was cool to see. We ended up making a lot of good friends, and you know, just living that, you know, within that little Hopeless bubble for a couple of years is cool. I think now that we've like grown to where we are, I think, you know, we're one of the bigger bands on the label, and
totally.
You know, but those first early stages of everything just being so like new and exciting, and like, wow, I'm going to fucking LA to meet my label. Wow, aren't I some big hot shot? And I learned the reality of it all pretty soon. That's all kind of part and parcel of being in a band. But yeah, those early days were exciting, man. It was cool.
Wow, yeah. So the first record you put out on Hopeless was the debut album, or did they re-release it? Because you said you recorded it with your brother.
Yeah, no, we recorded it with my brother, but it was mixed by someone else, I think. But yeah, they did. So the Wishful Thinking was the first record that we did. That was really just us finding our feet, really. We actually listened back to that record on a stream recently, and it was very interesting because I haven't listened to it in years. And there's some great songs on there, but there's also like, I listen to most of the songs on that record now, and I just go, oh, I would do that so much differently. I would do that differently. I'd do that. So we were really just finding our feet at that point. And when they told us, like, hey, go and write an album, we were like, what the fuck? We can't write more than 5 songs at a time. Are you crazy? You want us to write 12 songs? What? That's crazy. And so, yeah, even that was a huge experience for us. And yeah, but that did well for us too. That definitely gave us that little push to where we needed to be. Definitely.
Yeah, and then with the second record is when you had like December, which had like Mark Hoppus on it and stuff, right?
Oh yeah, the second record was the one that you know, I think the majority of fans will put down as their favorite record. You know, that record had a lot of acclaim to it. You know, people saying, I remember people saying, "Oh, it's one of the top 10 pop punk records of all time. It's the best pop punk record written in the last 10 years. You know, it's the
I'd
best.
agree to that.
Yeah, well, it's just, you know, and again, we didn't expect any of that at all. Like we just, you know, wanted to write good songs and didn't focus on like, we have to be the best pop punk band ever. And it just happened, and it was crazy. Like, but yeah, that record did a lot for us. I think that was a big, you know, again, those pivotal moments where, you know, where that you can put a pinpoint on. That record for sure was like a huge thing for us. Had we not have written that record, I don't think we would be where we are today, for sure.
Wow. And with that album, did you record that with your brother again, or how is that different?
No, that was with Andrew Wade and Jeremy McKinnon. Jeremy McKinnon from A Day to Remember like co-produced that with Wade, and we recorded it in Jeremy's house, in his like studio in his room. So we were kind of like in the bedroom set up again, but it was like a little upgrade on what we were used to. But we were out in Florida for 6 weeks. No, maybe a bit longer than that, for like maybe 8 weeks over that period. And just hunkered down, rented a house in Florida, right opposite Five Guys, so I was kind of happy. But
there you go.
And just knuckled down and got a record out. And again, that was our first experience of like being in like a better studio and working with like a different producer and working with like going over to America to record a record. Like, yeah, it was. I think I was only about 19 maybe at the time, maybe just 20. I don't even think I was legal to drink at that age in America. And it was amazing, man. And we had a lot of friends there, obviously, from when the first few shows that we ever played, that time when we flew over to America, kind of on a whim and did that whole thing. Like, we had a lot of friends there anyway as well, so it worked out kind of well. We had a good like friendship base there. We got on with Wade and Jeremy super, super well. And obviously, Orlando has like a shit ton of theme parks. So
I just took my family there. We went a couple of years ago. Yeah, because we're on the West Coast. We go to Disneyland, but we had never been to Disney World. And all of that. It was pretty cool.
I went with my family when I was like a little younger. I was probably like 10 or something. I was like, oh god. You got to do it, man. If you got family, like that's the ultimate vacation to take is Disney World.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, we had a blast. How is it like? How did you work with Mark on that second record? Was that all done through Hopeless, or how did that?
Yeah, it was kind of through Hopeless. Like there was someone that used to work at the label who was friends with him, and I think he had. Well, actually, he played the first. He played "Can't Kick Up the Roots," which was not even released, and he played it when he was like DJing at Emo Night in LA or something like that. And he played it before anyone had heard it because he'd been shown the record through Hopeless and stuff. And I think he just liked the record and liked the band and wanted to do something, and was just like, you know, down to be a part of it, and down to I think. Oh, fuck. Actually, again, another part of this that I'm missing out. We had played with Blink probably a year or so before that record came out as well. We played with them in the UK. We played one show with them. And I think it was the last... I claim this anyway, because I've got to claim it as a Blink fan. It was the last venue show that they played as the original lineup.
With Tom?
Yeah, because I think they went off and played a bunch of festivals after that, but then I think they broke up again.
Yeah,
and I think we played the last venue show that they ever played.
Whoa, that is awesome. My Blink claim is I grew up in San Diego, which is actually the part of San Diego that I grew up in is where the Blink guys. The first three original guys grew up, and like the sombreros they talk about in Josie was right by my house, and like they're
nice. We made the pilgrimage there. We made the pilgrimage. Yeah.
Oh man.
We wrote a little note in the bathroom. So
I was gonna say that. Did you see the bathroom?
Yeah. We signed the bathroom for sure.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah, next time you go, I didn't think too much of the food personally. I didn't think Sombreros was the best. Yeah, I've definitely had better Mexican. Sure.
On the I think they would claim that now too.
Yeah, probably. They on one of the it was the San Diego day of the tour that we just toured with Blink in the summer. It was Blink and Lil Wayne, and we were on the Lil Wayne tour. Yeah, that was wild. But on the San Diego date, they got out their favorite like taco truck guy from San Diego, like their favorite just like street guy. Yeah. Oh my god, so good. I had about that was the best. I think I ate literally like 15, 20 tacos. It was crazy.
That's awesome. I wonder if, because it's funny with that, going back to that Sombreros real quick. So it used to be smaller. They bought the store next to it and kind of expanded it. But what the cool thing was, so in the old smaller one, the bathroom was like on the right-hand side next to the register. And they ended up moving a lot of the pieces because the bathroom moved to the left side of the building. But to preserve a lot of that Blink stuff, they moved it. Like they moved the
so they kept the tiles and they kept
they I mean, that's kind of their claim to fame, you know. So they kept all that and they moved it, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's sick.
Look for your signature. I'm looking for your signature when I go over there.
Yeah,
that's rad. So you got to so you played with Blink. That must have been just
mind blowing, man. Again, like so much happened so early for us that it is fucking crazy, man. Like I think back to those early days, and I think like putting out a record, playing shows, getting a record deal, going to America, blah blah blah, and then it's like, oh yeah, you also played with your favorite band of all time within like the first few years of being in a band, and it was just like, fuck. Like from that point, like it could have ended, and I would have been more than happy. Like I would have been like, I played a show with my favorite band, like, and not only that, but 5 years later, 6 years later, we end up going on a full tour with them, and it's just like, we're always kind of pinching ourselves and telling ourselves like, could it get, is it real? Is all of this real? And we're just so blessed that it's just we've been able to carry on doing this, and things just keep kind of going up for us, really. And it's been that way since we started, and it's been a crazy ride for sure.
Yeah. I mean, geez, man, and the like dedication your fans have, it's crazy too. I mean, seeing you guys at Warped Tour here in I'm going to keep going back to San Diego because I live here, but you played Warped Tour. Not the final Warped Tour. There was the one right before the final Warped Tour. Yeah, and you played San Diego, and there was still like, I mean, it's Warped Tour, so they get these massive acts, these huge headliners that they've been around forever. You guys had the biggest crowd out of the whole day, of everybody.
Thanks,
I mean, that like as like an like, I mean, now you guys are a bit bigger, but like, I mean, you're like headliner bigger now, but like when you were the middle build band, like did you see yourselves like having this huge fan base and people like leaving before the headliner? Did people ever get mad at you?
Yeah, I mean, we were definitely aware of it. We definitely knew that we were one of, if not sort of the biggest band on the tour, or not necessarily the biggest, but the hottest band at that point. You know what I mean? And we knew that our crowds were big. Like, we're not going to go up there and pretend that we didn't know. Of course you fucking knew. We loved it. We absolutely loved it. We were like,
crazy,
right? Yeah, of course. So yeah, I don't know if anyone got pissed off. Maybe they did, but we've always been the kind of like band where we've always had it with the rise that we've had. As I've just been explaining, like. Mm-hmm. You're going to get plenty of people who want to fucking take you down a peg or two. 100%. You'll get people who want to fucking just who will just do whatever. They just don't like the fact. It's nothing to do with the music, nothing to do with people. It's just they got big too quick. I don't like them.
Yeah, just the jealousy.
And we've faced so much of that, and our attitude has always been, all right, don't like it, don't have to listen to it. See ya. We're not going to pay attention to you. And
we have millions of other people like.
Yeah, like I'm here for the people that are here to listen to it. I'm not here for you. So if anyone was butthurt by it, then yeah, sorry.
Oh well.
Sorry. We had a great fucking summer. So whatever. Yeah, I don't know, man. If we've always been very much like if you're not on board, whatever. It's
That's
fine.
awesome.
We'll be just fine without you.
Very cool. So Peace and the Panic was the next record you guys put out. What's the I want to get to the new album here real quick, but I want to know what's the milestone from that album, do you know?
I think In Bloom is the big standout from that, like that track.
Oh yeah, that's the first massive.
Time. Yeah, I feel like that was the first time that we'd written like a real fucking hit that just did super well across everywhere, really. Like even in the mainstream a little bit, that song had
it was getting radio play. I mean, that's pretty cool.
It was getting a bunch of radio play, and I think that song is the big standout for that for me. But also I do love that record too. It's great. I think we learned a lot from it. But there's so many songs in that, like that record as well gave us so many great live songs. I think like once we started playing songs from that record live, it really tied up the whole live package, because you could see this progression from a scrappy little pop punk band into being like a much more refined, big, sort of more of a rock band who are kind of defining their own sound. And that was definitely the first step with Peace and the Panic. And also we recorded that record in LA, and the experience of recording a record in LA was a very love-hate relationship.
Is that right?
I loved parts of it, but I fucking hated parts of it too. And that impacted a lot of how we went on to record the most recent record too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so you took some of that from the LA recording and with this, what'd you bring from that to the new album?
Well, from it we learned, from this new record, we basically did the total opposite and stayed pretty close to home. We locked ourselves away in this real old, like legendary studio, literally in the middle of nowhere, barely any phone signal, terrible Wi-Fi, and just lived amongst the record. We lived in the studio, and if we wanted to be recording until 3 a.m. we had every freedom to do that. And if we just lived amongst it and totally cut ourselves off from everyone and didn't tell anyone we were even there. We were just like, right, let's focus and live amongst it. Whereas cool. I think with LA it's a little bit more like, you show up to your studio time at 10 or whatever, and you maybe work till 7, and that's about it. And it's kind of like that's all you get. And it's like going to work, it's like a job. It's like
sure,
it kind of sucked. And I don't know, everything was just LA is just expensive and busy and fucking some great people. We got some fucking amazing friends from LA, ton of great people out there, but a ton of fucking idiots too. Like, there's just so many times. I can only be asked how many followers I have on Instagram so many times before I am just fucking done with the situation. It's just like,
so that's a thing. Yeah.
Well, dude, I had people.
LA is.
I had people that wouldn't even greet me with like, "Hey, how you doing? What'd you do?" Blah 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 blah. It's just like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, that's your name. Okay, how many Instagram? Yeah, what's your Instagram? How many followers do you have? It's like, fuck off. I'm gonna go and talk to this guy about fucking.
You're like 200,000. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. But it's like, even then, I would just be like, I don't even care how many. Like, oh god, just based off that question alone, I'm like, we're not gonna get on. We're not gonna be good friends. So yeah, just stuff like that. And I just felt like LA can be very distracting too. Well, it's a great place to be creative because there's so many creative people there. Everyone's on a schedule, and everyone's also got like a little bit of an agenda. Whether that agenda is just to even just go out and get fucked up all the time, there's always people. You got to write a song that night or something. And you get someone, hey, do you want to come to this party?
Sure.
Like, fuck. So it's very easy to get distracted. Whereas with this record, we just cut all that out and we're just totally focused on the record, and no time constraints or studio hours or anything like that. Just straight up, let's go and just be this record.
Just immerse yourself in it. Wow.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I love there's a photo on your Instagram that I think it's the most recent one you posted, where it's like a big living room with a big bay, like it has a big bay window, and is that the studio you guys were recording in?
Yeah, that is the library,
man.
Dude, it is. It's actually like a pretty famous studio. So Black Sabbath were like one of the first bands to be in there, and they used that as a practice space, and I think did some recording there. And it used to be partnered with the studio called Rockfield, which is where Queen did A Night at the Opera. It was like Bohemian Rhapsody. The piano that Bohemian Rhapsody was recorded on is like in that studio, but they're no longer like affiliated, but still Monnow Valley, where we recorded, is the name of the studio. Oasis have been through there, Stone Roses, trying to think who else, like the Stereophonics have been through there, Kasabian, like a bunch of like real big indie rock bands from the UK, and just a lot of I think Tom Jones was in there the week before we were in there.
That's right.
So yeah, it's really, really famous studio. And if you look it up, like Oasis never recorded a record there because apparently they didn't like the mixes that they got back from there, so they went to Rockfield up the road. But they still used them for some singles, I think. Before, it was like real early days of Oasis. It was like before Definitely Maybe, and it was like before all that. So they did a couple singles there, and if you look, I can't remember which single it is, but if you Google Oasis Monnow Valley, there's a photo of them in that live room that I had the photo of in front of those doors. It's like a really well-known like image like,
of them.
Those doors, are really quite well known. And that live room in general, especially for drums, is crazy. Like, you'll get producers making sample packs of various different rooms, like, oh, here's this drum kit in this room or whatever. Monnow Valley are like, nobody's making sample packs in our place, because like, you got to come here if you want to use it. Like, you can't just try and emulate it.
Sure.
And it is the drum sounds on it, and like the production overall on this record is the best. My favorite production of ours. It's like way more impactful, way more hard hitting. Everything just cuts through perfectly. And as well, there wasn't really that much like post editing that needed doing. It wasn't like, oh, we need to tweak this tone, or we need to blend these snare sounds or whatever. Like, everything just sounded amazing with next to no trickery on top of it. It was just pretty raw. Like, when we were listening back to just desk mixes of just like the raw audio coming through, we would crank it in the studio and just be like, yeah, this is sick. It. And if you're pulling faces before the song's even finished and you're like, this sounds and feels amazing already, to a point where a mix is, everything should be minimal, like fairly minimal. If you don't really have to touch anything at the end of a record, if you need to do your little bits and bobs and hit little tricks here and there. But if when it comes to the mix, everything is like almost there already, that you've got a record that just sounds great. Yeah. And that studio and working with Matt Squire, like Squire was just a legend from the second we met him.
I didn't know you guys worked with him on the album.
Yeah, he produced the whole thing, man. It's kind of funny how we met him, actually. It's kind of a good story. Like, we had 2 weeks in the US where we were going to go around and meet producers and talk to producers who were potentially going to be doing this record. And Squire was somebody that our guitarist Sam had brought up and was like, he's someone that I'm really excited by. We should go and chat to him. And he was the first guy that we met day one. We walked into the studio, and I think we sat in there for about an hour or two with him, and we went out to get a coffee, and all of us kind of looked at each other and was like, he's the fucking guy. Like, he's doing the record for sure, 100%. And we had these 2 weeks full of like meetings with other producers that we were kind of like, gonna have to cancel. We just canceled everything pretty much, and just went to a couple more, just out of like respect and to meet people and stuff. But
you knew.
We just knew straight away, man. We knew straight away that he was the guy for it, and because
he did all those bands. I mean, he's done a bunch of bands kind of in your lane. I mean,
yeah.
Sunday,
he kind of disappeared
All Time
for
Low, and you know.
he disappeared for a little bit, like he worked in the pop world for the longest time, like worked with like Max Martin and, you know, these crazy big producers, you know, some of the best, like worked and credited on like Ariana Grande stuff. And like, not that that's what we're going for, but to have those pop sensibilities and to have that, and that
and know how to write a hit, like a major hit.
Yeah. So, having that as well. And like, I don't know, when we first met, we didn't talk about music or like our music or us or anything straight away. And like, he wasn't like swinging his dick around and going like, oh, I can do this for you and blah, 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 blah. It was just like, hey, how you doing? Let's talk about politics. Let's talk about life. Let's talk about aliens. Let's talk about weird shit. And then after like 2 hours, it was like, do you guys want to write some music, or do you want to like just talk about because we were kind of talking about the record just in general, but with all of these different contexts to it. And he was mentioning bands that like, you know, would have no or very little correlation between Neck Deep, but he was mentioning bands like the Streets and the Gorillaz. And saying like, oh, you can have that kind of like swagger in your music. And like, even just the fact that he had mentioned those bands, I was like, sick. You have the vision. You're on the vision. You're thinking about what this band could be and what the sound could be and what cool, interesting elements of other music and other genres we can take and apply to Neck Deep. Like, he's already thinking of that and is on our wavelength. And no one else really even came close to even, you know, to having that kind of foresight and that kind of like enthusiasm about it. And I just thought it was so cool that he was mentioning, you know, bands like that, and we aligned on a lot of different things. We had a similar worldview, and just a great dude. Like, and for sure, like, it was just a great match for us and for him. I think he. The respect towards the end was mutual. It wasn't like this, like, oh, you're the producer and you know best, and thank you so much for your time. He was like, dude, I've been honored to work on this record, and you know, it was just a very mutual respect there. Loved it. It was great.
And did you have a lot of those songs written already before going into the studio? And did he kind of like help polish them, or? Yeah,
we had most of them. I'd say like 90% of them. I think there was like a couple others that we kind of wrote while we were in there, or at least like honed in. But for the most part as well, like, Squire isn't a super heavy-handed producer. He's not someone that's going to go, nope, don't do that, do this, I'm going to write this part. He is totally about the control being with the artist, and him just being like, yeah, I'm just here to guide you. I'm just here to throw ideas at you. He's like, I'm not trying to write any of this. I'm just giving you ideas and just putting my touch on it. And that was great. Like, he was awesome, man. Like, we've worked with a lot of different producers, or like a different producer on each record, but I think like Squire's the guy. Like,
he's the guy here on out.
I think he's the guy. He might be the guy. Saying that, that's big words, but yeah,
that's awesome.
Very well might be.
What are you most excited about for the new record?
Just to see how people interpret the kind of concept throughout it, and just to see, you know, what people think of the kind of the evolution. You know, I think, to me, it's our most interesting record. I think it puts us totally in our own lane. I think it doesn't really sound like any other band, and it doesn't really sound like any particular genre. It's kind of a bit of everything, and I just think it's a neck deep record, and I'm just excited for people to like see that and feel that in the same way that we do. Like, it's so hard to explain to people without them hearing the record, like what it is and what it means and what it's about. Like, I mean, it's not hard to explain what it's about. If you can't explain what something's about, it's probably a shit idea. But so much of it is to do with feel and to listen to the record. And then, you know, when I compare it to like The Peace and the Panic, I always say The Peace and the Panic was a great record, great songs on that record, but it felt a little disjointed. It felt a little bit, you know, here 1 minute and there the next, with no real thread that linked through the whole thing. But I feel like this is the most... it feels like the most complete piece of work and the most interesting album that we've put out so far. And I think some of the big, like, that's the thing. I think a lot of people are worried that we're not going to be a pop punk band anymore. I would stand up and say we're not a pop punk band anymore, but there are songs on there that if you love Life's Not Out to Get You, people are going to love those songs. And then there's songs that if you love songs like In Bloom, they've got those too. And if you just want to see the band progress, then we've got some new sounds for you too. And we're trying things that we've never tried before. But I feel like it's all done in a really just a neat, concise way that just feels like a full package. And I'm just excited for people to feel that as well.
That's great. Yeah, man. You've released a few songs from it so far. A couple of them are out. 3, I think.
There's 3 out at the minute. And I think we're still gonna there's still a couple more to come. Yeah.
Very cool. And then the full record comes out in a couple of weeks, right? The 24th?
Yep, 24th. Yeah, 2 days after my 26th birthday.
Oh, so. Happy birthday. It's coming up.
Thanks, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to tell people, hey, if you want to get me a present, just fucking pre-order the record.
Buy my record.
Yeah, that would be great.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so 24th is D-Day. Yeah, that's when it all goes down. So I'm, excited, man.
Is it going to be... now. Yeah, is it going to be kind of weird putting it out right as, in this quarantine, like without a tour?
This is something that we've talked about a lot. Like, one of the big debates when the kind of pandemic hit was like, is this a good time to be releasing music? Is this going to be an awful time to release music, or could this really work for us? And we just stuck to our guns and, pretty quickly decided like, nah, we should be putting this out. Like, this deserves to be out there. I think our fans deserve it. Everyone's fucking bummed at the moment. Like, let's give them something to look forward to. Everyone's attention is people aren't working. People aren't doing, going about their lives in the same way that they normally would. So their attention is on things that they can consume, content or whatever. People want fucking content. And I guess I hate defining, things that we do as content, because it's like, it kind of is just this big umbrella term for like anything, basically.
Anything on the internet stuff. Is content.
Yeah, it's just stuff. So, but yeah, in terms of content, a record is, the best content you can get from a band. So I think, it will be a good time to release music. I think, while we've got people's attention and while people are looking for something to kind of look forward to and be stoked on, it's a great time for it. And I think we were just lucky that we recorded it at the time that we did, ready to come out now. If we would have done it, if we would have started recording it in January, we might not have had a record, So,
right. Yeah, you might have had to stop.
Yeah. I mean, Squire would have had to go home, and God, I don't know. It would have been a big mess. So we were lucky that we timed it when we did, really.
Yeah. Wow. I know. Like, what about like live streams on like Instagram and stuff? Have you been doing that to kind of promote the record?
Yeah. We've been doing some Twitch streaming, which has been good. Like, that's been something that we've wanted to get into for a while, but never really had like a big reason to. It was just kind of like, oh, that would be fun to do someday. But then it almost became a necessity that like, shit, we need to be there. We need to be active and visible for our fans. We need to be present. And Twitch is like one of the best ways of doing that. Like, you're just hanging out with a bunch of fans playing video games.
I was gonna say, that's a video game platform, right?
Yeah, but you can do it for anything, man. Like, the biggest category on there, so you obviously have to like choose a category as to what your video falls under, and the biggest one is always just chatting. So it's just people just talking. So a lot of podcasts hosted on there and stuff too, and it's really like, because it's like a really good platform, man. And like, we were doing it originally, like, stay active, interact with fans and just like do a thing. But it's actually been a lot more fulfilling than that. There's been like a nice community that's kind of built up around it. And like in every stream we do, we'll see, we get new people watching all the time, but there's always that core group of like 10, 20 people who all have met each other through through
band.
Twitch, all like, all chatting to each other and, hey, what's up, blah, 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 just like there's a real little community that's formed around it. And that's been a very, fulfilling side effect of it all, is that I think we've gotten close to our fans and kind of brought our fans closer to each other, which is unexpected, but love to see it.
Yeah, I think the one thing the benefit, there's no real benefit, but the fact, what we can kind of take from the quarantine, I feel like as people are fans or even as artists, is like, it's crazy. Like I'm talking to you and you're in the UK and I'm like, you're in your house and, we're having this conversation that people wouldn't really be able to see. Like, what's the inside of Ben's house look like? Well, now I know that, it's just like this window that people can see into your life that, they probably wouldn't have had that access to before.
Yeah, totally, man. And it brings you a little closer to people as well when you're chatting to them live right there. And like I said, we live streamed listening to our old records. Like that's been really fun. Like that was really cool. Like we've been listening. So we're going to do it like on the build up to the new record coming out. And that's just been awesome. And like getting our real fan opinions, you know what I mean? Not like the watered down selected ones. You got people there telling you live, like, you need to write more shit like this, or I can see, or people who are like, I like where you've gone now. It's a great way to gauge the pulse of your fan base kind of thing too. So that's been really interesting and really more fulfilling than I thought it was going to be. I almost saw it as like this necessity at first of like, cool, okay, we'll get on Twitch. That seems like a good way to kind of fill a gap rather than, but it's actually become like so much more than that. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. So some positivity coming out of lockdown, I guess.
Yeah. What video games are you guys playing on there? If you don't mind me asking.
No, sure. West, our guitarist, has been playing Animal Crossing a lot.
My son loves that game.
West is obsessed with it. Yeah, I haven't gotten into that just yet, but we've been playing a lot of the new Call of Duty as well, just because everyone's playing it. I think that's the game of lockdown. A little bit of FIFA. Obviously, being from England, we're all football fans. Yeah. So we're playing a bit of FIFA. West also did a charity stream trying to raise money for our crew, because I think what a lot of people probably didn't realize was that because of coronavirus, like it really, in a lot of cases, it was more people's crew and people within the industry who ended up losing out heavily. We have kind of fallbacks in place for when, we have safety nets. If our tour gets cancelled, we're covered for that. But for dudes working who make their livelihood off working for multiple bands, and suddenly every tour is cancelled, it's like, shit, that's a year's worth of income gone for me. So we managed to raise some money for them on Twitch by West. The Final Fantasy VII Remaster came out, and he played it on launch day and did a 36-hour stream where he didn't sleep and completed the game from start to finish. No sleep.
The one from like PlayStation, the old PlayStation one? Oh my God.
They remade that like HD, like a full remake. They've been making it for like 15 years or something crazy. And he's
my God,
a huge nerd, so was super excited for it. And played the whole thing start to finish in one sitting, and it took him about 36 hours, and he streamed the whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
Again, great moments like that. Watching West beat that game was like, that was a highlight of my lockdown for sure.
That's great, man. Well, thank you, Ben, so much for talking to me today, dude. You're awesome. I love your band. I love your songs, dude. Yeah, this has been such an honor. I have one more question for you. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yeah, sure. First thing I would say is don't place any expectation on anything. Set your sights really low. That's coming from me. I'm sure if you've been listening, you would have heard the story. We wanted to play one show, get that first show out of the way, and then go from there and keep taking it a step at a time, and just practice, be critical of yourself, and above all anything else, as cliche as it sounds, just enjoy it. You know, that's the biggest thing, because if you genuinely enjoy what you do and you love what you do, that authenticity is more real and more connectable than anything else. People will see that authenticity, and that will stand above anything else. So just be true to yourself, take it one step at a time. Don't have sights on being the biggest band in the world straight away. Just take baby steps. Bringing it backward.